as far as reducing our need for, I guess, how was it? The one-time fees. Reduce the need for one-time fees. The only thing I can really say about that is we need to continue in fiscal discipline, working with conservative principles in spending, and we need to review what we're doing currently and make cuts where cuts are needed after we review, make an audit, and go through and see where we can shave here and shave there. Those are some issues that we need to work out and what I would work to do. In addition, another one of the most important issues that I would focus on is transparency. And I know it sounds like a bad word and stuff, and how it's been talked about today, but transparency is very important. We all remember the KSL investigations into nepotism a year and a half ago, whenever it was, okay? Which is why on the city webpage, we have a little page that has the Nepotism Act, Employment of Relatives, and it goes through and talks about the nepotism it goes through the whole state code on nepotism. And then down at the bottom, it says Herriman employees list. It says list of employees, positions, and any relation to co-workers. And then you click on that, and it gives you a list of the employees and who they're related to. Okay, you can go and get this online. I'd go real fast because it may change. But on this list, we have included Brentwood, but we don't have included Brockwood, who has been working at the city for 2 to 3 years, and he's the son of Brentwood. And that's not included on the list nor on the disclosures. Also, Danny Bills, her daughter, Tassie Bills, works at the city, and she's not included on there's a 2-page list. That's why I'm holding up the papers. She's not included on either list either. And then also Ed Blackett is included on the list, but his son Eric Blackett, who's worked at the city 2 to 3 years, and they are listed as interns, but they're long-term interns, 2 to 3 years, and Brockwood appears to be just a long-term employee of the city. And this is a very small piece to a large puzzle. We've got little things here, little things there that we really want to look into. I would say now is the perfect time for a change.
I thought we were talking about one-time fees here tonight, with that question at least, and so I will address that. Thank goodness that we've had one-time fees. Michelle talked about that. We have just celebrated a decade of achievement, and I think anyone sitting here tonight would recognize that Herriman has achieved significant progress and done a lot of things in the last 10 years. Primarily, that's been because of one-time fees, developmental revenues that come from development, and that will occur again. The important thing is that you spend that one-time revenue on one-time expenditures, and that's why Herriman has parks. That's why Herriman has trails and open space. That's why Herriman has facilities, is because we have spent one-time money on one-time expenditures. Now, it isn't like we don't know how to cut. As the economy went south, obviously everyone has had to cut their budgets. Herriman has a $4 million less general fund budget today than it had 3 years ago. That's because we have trimmed expenditures to be in balance with the revenues that the city has received. So we have not depended on one-time revenues, on one-time fees that come in. We do things with those, and they provide services for the city. We continue to manage and deliver municipal services on the basis of the revenues that we generate that are not one-time fees. That's the tax base that we have, the sales taxes, the property taxes, the fees that are levied for various services. So I think the city has a pretty good record in terms of managing the revenues that has come into the city. We have audits every year. The only time we've ever been dinged on an audit is we had too much excess revenue in reserve. We lost my train of thought there for just a moment. But we have demonstrated that we have sound budgeting principles, and our budget certainly is not out of control. All of these things are diversions to try to detract people from the levels of success that the city has had. And there are answers to all of these questions that are raised. They have been answered many, many times. We just keep bringing them up, and because that's apparently the only thing we can talk about that might create some change in the city. We have had success. I again say, why would we change in the middle of success? We want to build upon the successes that we've had. And that takes experience, that takes ability to know how to respond to these kinds of things. And so I seek your vote for this, ask you not to change in the middle of things. Thank you.
To answer the question specifically, the kind of education and information that I suggested we need to provide for citizens on an ongoing basis, the reliance on one-time fees as a percentage of the annual budget for the city of Herriman over the last 3 years has been reduced by just over 20%. I've taken those numbers, I've analyzed them carefully. So the revenue sources have been diversified to some extent. But let's explain what a one-time fee is, what these impact fees are. They're not paid by developers. You all know that. You pay them. If there were $11,000 worth of impact fees for the construction of your home, that's in your mortgage, and you pay that every month. It's the same as a tax. Let's just be honest about it, put it out on the table so we all know where we are and what we're doing. I think it's been a good strategy over the years as the city of Herriman was started, needed to be funded. It was a good strategy, and it's worked extremely well, I think. But it is a tax, and you still pay that every month in your mortgage. Developers don't. We have our property taxes as a source of revenue. Those have not been raised, but fees have. So again, you have to take the impact fee, the property tax, and the parks and public safety fees that we all pay to come up with your real tax bill. And we just ought to lay that out there so we all know what it is, what we're doing. There's nothing wrong with the way it's being done, but let's be honest about it and be fair about it. Now, there is one issue that concerns me a little. The fees that we pay are a regressive tax. If you own $1 million home or a $100,000 home, you pay the same amount. It is what it is. But again, let's look at that, consider it carefully, and make sure that's where we want to be and what we want to be doing. The only substantial source of new revenue to replace any revenue that would be given up at any time would be potential sales tax and economic development. And the city is working hard on that. There are opportunities now, although it goes far beyond this simplified rooftops concept that we keep hearing. Cities don't do developments, developers do. Cities need to work with developers, create a strategic plan, a strategic partnership, and go with the developer to help recruit those kinds of businesses that will generate substantial sales tax so that our property taxes, our impact fees, and our parks and rec and public safety fees don't have to be increased. We've got to find that revenue somewhere else. Mountain View Quarter at 118th, at 126th, and 134th, along with the town center. The opportunities are there. There are opportunities further south as well along the Mountain View Corridor, and we'll work strategically to bring in the right kinds of businesses to generate sales taxes to maintain and enhance the quality of life we all enjoy here.